welcome back to the garden. We've got a long list of things to try to do, and we're going to see what we actually get to do. Our first task is potting up tomatoes. These are definitely ready. An easy way to tell is we've got our seed leaves and we've got true leaves. Now these ones aren't as easy to tell on, so let me grab a different one. Okay, first of all, roots! Look at the roots. We've got some true leaves. So the true leaves are the ones that look like tomato leaves. The seed leaves are just the little oval kind of shaped ones. So as soon as we've got roots out the bottom and a pair of true leaves, time to pot up. There's a lot of bark in this. Anytime I find big bark, I just set it aside and I use it as mulch in one of my containers. All right, the easiest way to do this without damaging the plant is you're gonna cradle the plant. So I'm going around. I'm not gonna tug on the leaf. I'm not gonna pull on the stem. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna flip over. I'm gonna carefully push it out. And these are tomatoes, so it's okay to go a little bit deep. So I'm gonna set this in, and then I'm actually gonna put some more soil on top. And then we just repeat. I find a little pen to make a hole helpful. But it's really, you don't need any fancy equipment. I've done it in red solo cups before. There's a lot of ways you can do it that you don't have to use anything expensive or fancy. You don't need any fancy equipment. I never want you to feel like you have to spend money in order to be able to do this or to get the same results. There are some things that spending money on are gonna save you time and energy in the long run, and that's totally fine. But if you are a peasant like me and you don't have discretionary funds right now that you can spend on anything, I totally get it. So red solo cups work. I've used old yogurt cups before. I've used a lot of different things. What else have I used? I've done DIY soil blocks where I literally just put soil in a container and use a palette knife to kind of compress it. So I didn't even get the fancy soil blocker. Now I didn't love soil blocking. For me, it was a texture issue. I don't love that texture. But it was effective. I just didn't like the texture. All right, what do you do when you have two like this? When you have two like this, it's still really pretty simple. We're just gonna I'm gonna gently at the base, I'm holding each at the base, and I'm gently teasing them apart. It really helps that this is super well watered. There we go. And there's enough roots and soil for each one to get their own. All right, I need more hands. Now tomatoes will make roots along their stem. That's why you'll see I'm burying them kind of deep. Getting a lot of sticks in the soil right now. Right. Now the soil that I'm planting into, this is actually very dry. It should not be this dry. So I'm gonna grab some water, get this a little drink before I start any of the rest. Do the same thing with the peppers, but I'm not going to plant them deep. I'm going to plant them at the same level that they're at now. So support, boop. This soil level is going to be the soil level in here. Of this we can get in the ground, but I gotta wash. I'm grabbing my Persian cress and borage. These are both early spring flowers that feed the bees. Borage refills with nectar every 30 minutes. I'm companion planting it in amongst my garlic. I planted grapes when I first moved here, but the polar vortex the last few years just took them out.
so I'm trying again. These are from Sam's Club. They're green table grapes, and they take a couple of years to get established before they produce.
Thorns. We don't like those.
I'm cutting back my large blackberry bush to make room for new thornless variety. It takes up to a year for almost any fruit to establish and produce. So while I don't like the thorns on my established bush, it stays so I can continue to get blackberries until my new baby ones can mature and grow me some blackberries. Blackberries are one of the easiest fruits to get started with. They can handle a lot. They're tough as old boots as long as you give them some good mulch and water them well. Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. One of the most versatile vegetables in your garden. I'm companion planting mine with some leeks. These are overwintered leeks that I planted last year thinking they were onions. And you can plant them with anything in the allium family. So garlic, onions, anything like that makes a really good companion plant for them. They're pretty simple. Just dig a hole and plop them in. If you can control which way it falls, have the eye facing up.
We got a lot done today. We got all of our inside plants out. Now, I do expect there's going to be another freeze or two, so I will have to bring them back inside. If you're not up for that, just leave them inside under the grow lights. But I don't have very good grow lights, so putting them outside in the sunshine, this makes them so much happier. But the biggest thing you need to worry about this week, even if you don't get any planting done, is watering. You want to check your system. Mine's dripping right there. Of course it's dripping. And you just want to stop anything that's leaking. This is actually cracked. I can feel that the metal's cracked, so I'm going to need to replace this whole piece. But you want to make sure, we just went from really cold, let me go this way. We just went from really cold and windy, which dries your plants, and it's really hard on your plants. And it's going to be really, really warm this week, like upper 70s. So we want to make sure we give everything a really good drink and check on them every day. That's probably the biggest life hack or garden hack I can give you, is I walk my garden every day, usually in the morning and usually at night. And you're just going to get used to what the plants look like when they're happy, and you're going to know when they're unhappy and what to give them. So for me, let's walk over to my onions. I got my onions in last night. I did not film it, but they look terrible. You can see they're very droopy. They're not happy looking, but that's because they were just transplanted outside. I expect in about 3 to 5 days that they'll bounce back and that they'll look really good. But I'll check on them every single day, and typically I check right before work and right when I get home, and that just tells me how they're doing. And then when I get off work, a lot of times I'll see something that's really just not looking good, and just give it a quick water. It makes a big difference. The other thing is, gardening, you just kind of have to be okay with things dying. So these peas looked amazing before our last polar vortex. They made it through the first polar vortex, but they didn't make it through the second. And so they look bad, and that's okay. I knew I was gambling there. I'm pretty much a gambler in the garden. But I'll just take those out and plant some new peas. I think we can plant peas through mid-March, but I find that it does better the earlier you can get them in. So I'm just gonna keep planting peas every week, every 2 weeks, until we're done with freezes and I start to get some yields.
All right, I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.